Welcome to part 3.
Yes, welcome to part three. Again, we apologize, for the inconvenience. So,
Actually, now that we did 3 parts to date, this
yes,
is the first time I've ever done a 3-part
get
show.
triple.
You could you we could actually put commercials in the middle, but we're not,
Yes,
and put it all as one. But
right.
we're not going to do that. Not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah,
Maybe when the rent is due. Maybe.
yeah.
So anyway, so you have this ledge here. Getting back to what I was
Right,
saying,
right.
and he said you don't have to run. You just have to walk off, but you cannot hesitate. You have to just walk and then just fall off, and then the parachute will take us, and then we'll go from there.
Right.
So I said, but you have to do it. You have to do it. I can't do it because you're in front.
Yeah.
So you have to, and he said, you don't have to run, just walk. And when you get to the ledge, just
Yeah.
walk off it like the coyote
Right. Right.
in the Roadrunner cartoons. So what happened was I walked. And he says, and whatever you don't look down because it'll just scare you.
Right. Right.
Just look straight ahead. Well, I have to
Yes.
admit, I did not look down and I did not look straight ahead.
Yes.
I had my eyes shut tight. And then I
Oh
walked,
no.
and then all of a sudden, whoosh! And it was a great feeling.
Woo!
And he just and it was we were actually up there for like about 15 minutes
Uh-huh.
because he knew
Right.
how to get the wind and to get a maneuver around certain trees. And when we finally got down,
Hmm.
we landed right on the beach where I think
Mm.
a truck was waiting for us to take me back to the hotel.
Right.
And and of course when well, I'm telling this story now for the first time in public, but I've told this story to privately, and then people say, what a hero, and then other people say, what a fool, what a damn fool for risking your life like that. Now I got to show you something. I found this. The reason why I'm telling you this, and you're going to get a big kick out of this. Um, I found the original pamphlet or the thing from in English to do this. All right,
Yeah.
and that they charge it. And I don't know if I could flying. Okay, see, it says flying in
Wow, look
Rio
at that.
since 1981.
Wow.
This is, I think, mainly hang gliding, but they do. What I did was with a more of a parachute, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very it's a lot
Look
of
at
fun.
that.
And make sure you do it. You do it with and make sure you do it with someone who knows what they're doing. I
Right.
mean, a guy who charge not. Don't try to do it yourself, because
Right.
I could never jump off a ledge myself and then think I could navigate or fly my way down.
Right.
Now, the
Right.
reason why I bring this up, now you're going to love this, and you could see this. They've been doing this in 1981. I think I did this in the early 2000s. And but the thing is they actually have a celebrity endorser who did it. This guy right here. Does he look
Mm.
familiar?
Oh yes.
You know who that is?
That's Kurt Cobain from Nirvana.
Kurt Cobain did the same thing I did in when he was in Rio. I guess when Nirvana was playing in Rio.
Yes.
And I got to tell you something about something like this type of stunt to do.
Mm-hmm.
The worst person you can get to endorse it is
Right.
a guy who eventually committed suicide,
He looked kind of unhappy
and
there.
he looks very unhappy there.
I know.
I think
Yeah.
I still I mean the reason why I mean you can't keep everything you accumulate when you travel,
Right.
but the idea that he looks so forlorn in this
I
picture
know.
and with his harness on and everything, and I shouldn't make fun of Kurt Cobain because
Right. I
it
know.
didn't end very well, but I mean, is this the closest thing he had to do to bring him some joy
I
while
know.
he was in Rio?
He kind of looks like he's like, do we really have to do
Do we?
this?
He probably didn't. Maybe his bandmates wanted. Maybe Dave Grohl and
They probably forced him to do
Courtney
it.
Love wanted him to do
Right,
it. Maybe they wanted him to die, and then and so they could
right.
get the band away from him.
Yeah,
But that's the
yeah.
wonderful Kurt
Right,
Cobain, and
right.
I hope those 15 minutes in Rio jumping off. Contrary to what you see in this picture,
Right,
I hope it worked out for him.
right,
Hope it
right.
gave him some joy.
I know. Yeah.
I've always, I think I mentioned about being at the Statue of Liberty celebration in Central Park, and they said it was like a classical music intellectuals Woodstock. It was 800,000 people there.
Oh
Now,
yes.
you know anything about Woodstock?
Speaking of Woodstock,
Yeah.
um, I've always I love Woodstock music. Okay.
Hmm.
I love. I wish I could go to the hippie stage. Which I love hippie music anyway. So I'm a big fan of hippies.
Are
Okay.
you a hippie?
Well, I guess you could say that. I guess I'm kind of in between. A hippie and a girly girl and some
We used
other.
to love hippies when I was growing up.
Yes.
We thought they were the coolest.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And let me tell you the how Woodstock started and everything. It was back in August of 1969. It was about, let's see, it was like about 48 years ago, something like that.
Well, 69 was, no, that was 51
Oh,
years ago.
oh, okay,
Or
51
50,
years
no,
ago.
52 years ago. We're
Oh,
in
okay.
2021 now.
Okay, it was 52 years ago. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's a good while ago, yeah.
Yeah, it was made. They started back in August of 1969. Anyway, and this guy that he had a dairy farm
Hmm.
in New York. In New York,
Yeah.
I forgot what the city was called
Hmm.
and what the farm was called, but it was some kind of dairy farm
Hmm.
that this older man
Yeah.
ran years ago, and he let everybody have open some free concerts for like a couple days, and I forgot what his name was, but I could like post it on the comments,
They made a
the
movie
history
about
of it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he let all those thousands of people come to his property to have Woodstock.
Oh, well, actually, what I heard was no, it was actually you had to pay for that.
Oh, I thought it was
But no,
free.
no. What happened was so many people came without tickets that once it kind of got underway and it
Uh-huh.
jammed all the roads to it
Wow.
that
Yeah.
the promoters of it, I mean, took a
Yeah.
bath with the money,
Yeah.
and they didn't make any money off it because they at that point they couldn't charge anymore because there
Right.
was people. I mean, you couldn't stop it. They didn't realize that so many people would show up. 300,000 people showed up. In those
Wow.
days, a lot of people to come to
Wow.
a small town,
Wow.
and so I think they, eventually they did make their profit from selling an album
Right.
and making a movie
Right.
from it.
Right. Right.
They were
Right.
smart enough to have all that recorded and everything.
Right.
There was a 3-day concert,
Yes.
day and night, the music, and it rained a lot and puddles everywhere, mud
Oh yeah.
everywhere.
Everybody was playing in the mud and
Yeah,
everything.
and
It was raining.
I remember Jimi Hendrix
Oh
played
yeah.
the Star Spangled Banner on an
Yeah, he
electric
was.
guitar.
Yeah, he was in that. Jimi Hendrix, and I think Janis Joplin was in it. And
Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young.
yes, and Joe
Joe
Cocker,
Cocker, all
Grace Slick, Jefferson
the
Airplane,
only
and some other
the Rolling
people.
Stones were not there. The Who
Yeah.
were there.
Oh yeah, I love the Who
The Who
and the
were
Rolling
probably the
Stones.
biggest. I think the Who became the big stars they came out from under the shadow of the Rolling Stones and
Right.
the Beatles
Right.
by being the biggest name at Woodstock. They weren't as
Right.
big as the Beatles or the Rolling
Right.
Stones,
Yes.
but then people say, "Oh, the Who were
Yeah.
here."
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
yeah.
Sean Na was there,
Oh yeah.
and everyone wonders why was Sean Na doing there, but they were there. I
Yeah.
think the movie is kind of weird. I think the movie kind of uh, rearranges a lot of the acts in there.
Yeah.
But I think Sha-Na-Na played near the end, but I think in the
Yeah.
movie they played near the beginning just to get them out of the way. Because their
Right.
music is kind of, although I like Sha-Na-Na, their
Yeah.
music is 1950s music is kind of incongruent to
Right.
all that
I think
all that protest music came after
I think Iron Butterfly was in it.
Iron Butterfly.
I
Yeah,
think
Inagata Davida.
and it got it. I had that album as a matter of fact. It's a good one
That was
too.
the music we always played in a Gata Vida when I was a
Yeah.
DJ when we were on
Right.
a 20-minute break.
Yeah.
uh,
And
I'll take a nap or take a long phone call.
yeah, there was a group. I don't know if you've heard of them called Sweetwater.
Sweetwater. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other groups that were there that you might.
A lot of documentaries about Woodstock, even movies surviving Woodstock
Yeah.
with Eugene Levy
Right.
playing the old
Yes.
dairy farmer man,
Yes.
and Eugene Levy from SCTV and that
Yes.
other show,
Yes.
and who else? And yeah, that Ang Lee made that film.
Right.
Also, there's well Woodstock. Oh, let me tell you about Woodstock.
And then someone got mad at all that crowd for messing it up the property.
Well, you can't put 300,000 people in a small
Right.
area and
Exactly.
expect them to behave themselves.
Right. I know.
People were
I mean, you can't help that.
people people there was people
But
there's no
I've
place
heard
there's no place
something
to go to the
that.
bathroom there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they didn't even have enough toilets for everybody.
Yeah.
That kind of says it all.
If I were to go back then, I would have brought a camper.
But let me tell you something. What was kind of weird though about Woodstock was that it actually all in all turned out all right. I mean, that the people tended to behave themselves and
Yeah.
everything. They may have taken drugs or got
They made it.
stoned, and they may have had a little bit too much kissing and everything. But
Yeah.
but what was weird was I heard this Rolling Stone made a point that they were the only reports of because what I just told you all
Right.
the things the dark things that happened there. All the other newspapers and magazines at the time said all the terrible place that Woodstock, the way they were behaving and all this stuff. But Rolling Stone said no, everything pretty much turned out all right.
Right.
Now but then they had this Woodstock fever that a few months
Years
maybe no
later.
a few about a year later there was another sort of like Woodstock. The Rolling
Okay.
Stones appeared at called
Right.
Altamont, and
Oh, I know.
um, when that was performed, um, the that was a free concert, but
Yeah.
that really turned dark, and the
Yeah.
Hell's Angels were hired to police the area. They wound
Right.
up stabbing one of the people in the audience
Oh
on
wow.
camera with a knife, and you
Wow.
actually see him do it, and the guy
Wow.
died,
Wow.
and thus.
Jeez.
And then what I just said about Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone said, "What a terrible thing that happened." But then all the other newspapers, "Oh, it worked out just like Woodstock. Oh, it was a nice, it was a nice concert."
Well, speaking of
There's a
that,
movie called "Gimme Shelter" by the
yeah,
Maisels brothers
yeah,
that's all about that, and it does show the dark side of. It
yeah,
basically was flip side of rock and roll concerts at the time.
right,
Woodstock was the good side, and the darker
right,
element was
right, the Altamont.
Altamont one.
And
Yeah,
they made Woodstock years later, back in 1994.
yeah.
I was in high school back
They
then,
tried to put
so.
lightning back in a bottle.
And I heard that some people got in trouble then.
Well,
So,
they're
like at
always. I've been to
Woodstock.
lots of these big concerts, and there's always trouble. There's
Yeah.
always
I
fights.
mean, hey,
People fight
it's
over girlfriends.
normal. You know.
People fight.
Hey.
You put a lot of people. You put people in a bar together.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
why. That's why we shouldn't have. People said, some states are now, or some cities are now
Right.
allowing you can carry a gun into a bar.
Uh
Can
huh.
you imagine people getting drunk and
Yes.
everyone armed? It'd be like the
Right.
Wild West. It'd be like
Right.
it'd be like the Wild Bunch.
Yeah.
And I remember how wonderful that turned out.
Yeah. I know. Mhm. Yeah.
And so that was the what was the biggest concert you've ever seen?
The biggest concert that I went to see was Paul McCartney.
Yeah, how many people were there?
It was like seems like 1,000 people. Like it was in the
Oh, I'm
FedEx
sure it
state.
was no, it was I'm sure it was close to like maybe 50,000
It was
people.
it was at the FedEx
Yeah,
Stadium in
that's in the where
Washington
the
D.C.
Redskins play. Yeah,
Yeah.
where the red whatever that team's called.
Yeah. It was a good. I thought it was a good concert.
Whatever they're calling
So
themselves now.
yeah, I thought it was a good
Oh no, I've
concert.
seen I've seen Paul, and
Right.
I saw Paul in Charlottesville in
Yeah.
indoors,
I saw.
and that was about 20,000 people, and but I mean, you have to remember something about
Yeah.
Paul's crowd now. Maybe not
Right.
Paul's crowd in the '60s,
Yeah.
but all the screaming
I
teenagers.
saw him in
But the people who go
Baltimore.
see Paul now are usually well behaved.
Yeah.
For one thing, the reason why sporting events, people,
Yeah.
when you have soccer events in other countries like England and lots of
Yeah.
places,
Right.
they have riots, and people die in stampedes and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I was at a soccer event in England, and it was kind of a runaway, like 6-2, and which is a long, and the match was almost over, and my cousin who took me
Uh-huh.
said, "I think we should leave now." He said, "Yeah, but there's still 10 minutes left in the match." He said, "It's not going to get." It's not going to change too much,
Right.
and there may be a riot when we leave, so we better leave now.
Right.
And I saw
Right.
lots of people, sensible people, packing up their stuff and leaving. So not just to beat the traffic, but in America when they do that, it's just to beat the traffic. But you know, and it's sort of this sort of classless to say this
Right.
or classist to say this, but when the reason why we don't have riots so much at baseball games and rock concerts anymore
Yeah.
is because we keep the prices so high that people
Right.
go there and they usually not only are rich people, they're usually well-behaved people, and
Yeah. Yeah.
while in soccer matches in other countries they don't cost all that much. I mean, getting a ticket might be hard, but once you
Yeah.
buy the ticket, it's not that expensive.
Right.
So
Right.
people behave themselves, and a lot of times they'll have riots at concerts, and like in Central Park, I think they had one with Diana Ross,
Mhm.
and they said that
Oh.
what they should do is not make it free. They should charge everyone not that much, maybe $1. And if they charge them $1, that people would question whether to go or not, and then people would even spending the dollar, you would probably have a higher class of people going to these concerts.
Was that Diana Ross concert when she was like pouring down rain and
Yeah,
then she was like, "It is raining, I ain't going anywhere."
yeah, I've been to a concert.
I thought it was Madison Square Garden at first, but
Well, Madison Square Garden is indoors.
well, what was that?
It must have been in
Central
Central
Park.
Park.
That was
Yeah,
at Central Park. Okay.
outdoor concerts are the best concerts until it
I heard that
rains.
was a good concert though, even though it was raining.
They are great concerts until they rain.
I know.
I had in Europe, you have a
Oh,
lot of cold weathers like right now,
yeah.
and what happens is they'll have they'll have these. It'll be really cold and rainy, and you bought your ticket, and you might see 5 or 6 bands, and there was
Yeah.
one. I think it was U2 was in
Oh, I
Ireland,
love you
and they
too.
had all these bands before them. They had the Ramones,
Oh,
and
oh yeah, I like them too.
they had REM.
Oh, I
But I
like
mean,
them.
you two were there,
Oh yeah, they got
and
a new two
it was
YouTube albums.
it was so miserable. I understand at this concert in Ireland that people were actually not clapping for encores. They
Right.
said, "Bring the next band out. We want to get this thing over
Yeah,
with." And it was
yeah.
all day long there because there's 2 hours each
Right,
concert and
right.
everything. But the day I went to see you two and saw pretty much the same concert was it was better. It was damp, but it wasn't raining. It wasn't storming. I mean, you're in a soccer field, or
Yeah,
what we would call, I guess, the closest thing would be like a football field or a baseball infield. You'd be sitting in the grass watching a concert,
right,
and it gets muddy,
right,
and you get cold, and you're sitting on a blanket
right.
and everything. A lot of
Yeah,
times they don't allow chairs because I hate chairs in front of me and I have to look over.
I
It's
know.
getting to the point
I think you
now.
could just stand up and like,
I hate going. I'm not a
yeah,
tall guy,
yeah.
obviously, and
I'm not
when
either. I'm
and
not
when
a
and
tall
when I go
girl.
to the concert,
Right.
some guy will put some giraffe in front of me will put his kid on his shoulders, and then I can't even see that. I can't even see the parade now. Yeah, and then I remember once. I remember this was even worse. This happened at a parade once, Thanksgiving Day parade. Or no, it was the St. Patrick's Day parade. What happened was some kid was put on the. I don't want to go up. I don't want to go. You're gonna go up and and then after maybe I'm not kidding you, less than 2 minutes, the kid started spewing like
Oh
vomit because he
no.
was dizzy up on that tall guy's shoulders.
Oh,
And I think the people who didn't get hit, I was one of those people who didn't get hit, but I was like dodging. It was like The Exorcist.
right. Yeah,
I said, I think you should put that kid down.
yeah, yeah,
If he's gonna barf, he can barf on the floor, not not in the air.
yeah.
Look like a salad shooter.
Yeah.
Oh man, maybe one of these days they'll bring back parades.
Oh yeah.
I hope they'll bring back
I'd
something.
rather be in the parade than watch the parade.
You ever been in a parade?
Yes.
What parade have you
I've
been?
been to one on Chester Theater.
What parade was that?
That was when I was Eeyore.
Was it
I think you were in it
no
too.
Christmas? I guess it was the
It
Christmas
was like
parade.
2016 or
I've been
something.
in the
Like
State Fair
five
parade and
years
the
ago.
Christmas parade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the parade.
Yeah, I've been to the Virginia Beach parade years ago.
I love a
I mean,
parade.
too. I love a parade.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah,
I love
so.
that song. And anyway, I love a parade. I love a parade. When I was a kid, I loved parades. Now they kind of bore me.
Yeah, I'd rather be in the parade than watch a parade, so.
One thing that the horses go by
Yeah.
and they'll leave a reminder,
Yeah.
and then you see all, and sometimes it'll be right in front of you, so you have to
Right.
look at that or smell it the whole time,
Right.
and then you'll see all the marching bands walk
Right.
around.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
That's the problem with parade, the float,
yeah.
and my dad. I remember one of the. Well, that's another story, but yeah, he'd always. I always wanted to go to parades because all my friends were going to be there, and we'd see the parade. But then it really came down to it. I didn't really care to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
But being in a parade never turned down a chance to be in a
Right.
parade. A friend of mine told me she was going to be in the St. Patrick's Day parade. I said, "Well, when are you going? Where are you in the parade?" She says, "I turned them down." I said, "Why'd you turn them down?" Because I felt like it. I couldn't understand why anyone would turn down a chance to be in a
I
parade.
know, right?
So I said, "Why you couldn't figure out what broomstick to fly in on?" Oh, that was probably the worst thing I ever said to anybody. And I pretty much had to apologize for the next 6 months to
Right.
that woman.
Right. Right.
It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. It was
Yeah.
funny as soon as I said it, and then as soon as I said it, I knew I shouldn't have said it.
Right.
Yeah, but
Right.
but but nevertheless, get a chance to be in a parade,
Yes.
then, then,
Yes.
then do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a wonderful time here, Mary.
Yes.
Thanks for inviting me to be on your really big show.
Absolutely. It's always so. Well, it was. Thank you all for tuning in, and may God bless you all. I hope you all take care of yourselves because we're still in the pandemic, no matter what. So, may God bless you all. God bless.